Hi, I'm Christy Call, editorial director of Cure Magazine, and in this week's Speaking Out video series, we feature Lisa Schlager from Force, and we will be discussing genetic mutations in men. So now we'll be discussing mutations in male breast cancer. So what are some of the disparities among the fact that men are not getting genetic testing?
Well, I think there are several contributors to this. Ultimately, there has been the misconception that men don't get breast cancer, which is completely untrue. Yes, fewer men get breast cancer, but men definitely get breast cancer. And in men who do get breast cancer, a higher percentage of them actually do carry an inherited genetic mutation. So national guidelines say that any man with breast cancer should explore genetic testing to see if he carries an inherited mutation. I also think it's important to note that men get other hereditary cancers too. So certain mutations can cause increased risk of prostate cancer or pancreatic cancer or colon cancer. So it's important not to just think this is one-sided and it's only a woman's issue. Men carry these mutations as well, and they can pass them along to their daughters and sons at the same rate as the women in their families. So we all have to remember that our genetics come from both sides of the family. Yeah.
So with that, how can we also negate the fact that people think only women can pass down these genetic mutations?
So that's a really big misconception, and we have to understand that we're all 50% of each parent. So 50% of our genes come from mom and 50% from dad. I like to give an example of the fact that we all carry BRCA genes. Everybody has BRCA1 and BRCA2. So when people say, I have the BRCA gene, well, yes, you do. We all do. You do, I do. But some people have a mutation in their BRCA genes. So when you were conceived, Dad gives you a copy of BRCA1, and Mom gives you a copy of BRCA1, and hopefully both of those copies are healthy. Unfortunately, if you're a mutation carrier, let's say Dad carries a mutation, the copy that he gives you is broken. So now you only have one healthy functioning copy of that gene. These are tumor suppressor genes, so unfortunately, if you only have one good functioning copy, your body is, its ability to fight cancer is compromised as you get older. So if you look at that fact that you can inherit it from either parent, that means boys and girls can inherit that mutation, and in fact it can lead to increased risk of cancer in both men and women. So it's really important to look at both sides of the family, and if somebody tells you, oh, you can't inherit a predisposition to female cancers from your father, that's absolutely not true.
Right. And are there major differences when it comes to genetic testing or genetic mutations between men and women?
The mutations, no, the mutations really are the same. A man can have the exact same mutation as a woman and vice versa. I think the way it manifests could be different. So for a woman, she might get breast cancer or ovarian cancer. For men, of course, they don't have ovaries, so they might instead be at increased risk of prostate cancer or some other type of cancer. So if you're looking at your family history to try to determine if you have a history of cancer, you can't just look at, oh, how many breast cancers do we have? Because in fact, it could be a mix of different types of cancer: breast, ovarian, pancreatic, prostate, colon. And so you really need to look at all the cancers in totality to try to determine if in fact there's a pattern there. And that's when a genetic counselor or a qualified healthcare professional can really help you analyze what all those different cancers might add up to.
Right. How can we try to raise more awareness around the issue?
I think it's super important for stars, like I think Beyonce's father came out recently to share information about his mutation. I think it's really important to raise the profile. And men in general have, I guess, a reputation for not being quite as proactive with their health. And not all men are the same. But I think it's really important for men to understand the value of this. And in some cases, we see men getting tested because they're worried about their daughters. And that's very gallant in a way, but the truth is they should be worried about themselves and their sons as well. And so we try to raise awareness about, knowledge is power. This information can be useful in keeping you healthy or helping you fight disease more effectively. So men and women should pursue this type of information if it makes sense for them.
Great. And lastly, what kind of resources does Force have to offer?
We are expanding our resources. We're trying to raise awareness around genetic mutations and genetic testing among men and women. And we have an entire section of our website dedicated to men who may be at increased risk of cancer, as well as print resources. And we encourage people to visit our website at www.facingourrisk.org for more information. We can even send materials out to providers or genetic counselors. And there's information that can be downloaded and printed off the website. But importantly, I think it shares why it's important for men to consider this as well as women.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.